Hi traders, thanks for stopping by thetradinganalyst.com. This is Taylor and we're going to take a look at a bunch of charts here and I'm going to give my analysis and my thought process, and you're going to walk away from this video with some newfound knowledge on technical analysis as well as hopefully some profitable trade ideas based off of this free analysis video we're about to give you right now. But first, if you're not already a member at thetradinganalyst.com, go ahead and give us a visit on the home page of the website and get to know us a little bit better. If you like these free videos and analysis we give to you on a daily basis, it's really nothing in comparison to the membership you get once you sign up with the premium membership. Once you sign up and join the premium membership community, you're going to get instant access to the profitable trade alerts that our current members are getting and loving on a daily and weekly basis. It's a great opportunity and we'd love to help you start making winning trades in the market. All right, so let's take a look at these charts here. We're going to start off with ACIA. And ACIA, we've been pointing out, was likely going to head lower. So we went from $46 all the way down to about $43.72. So nice little drop there on this stock. Very, very nice action for this stock. And in fact, we profited nicely. We took some profits on our short today near the lows. We're still holding some of that position, but it's always good to take some profits along the way. So we're in the green on that trade. And we've been posting these public videos for you saying that ACIA was likely going to head lower. So congrats if you've been following along, and if you didn't follow along, well, now you know that you should be following along, watching these videos, joining the membership, learning as much as you can to trade more profitably. All right, so the reason we like ACIA for a short, just to kind of review in case you didn't watch the last videos we've done on ACIA, we liked it for a short because you can clearly see there's a trend line here that ACIA is reacting to. So anyone can draw a line on the chart, anywhere on the chart, just go boom, okay, that's a trend line. Well, what matters is if the stock is reacting to that trend line, okay? And the more times you see a reaction off that trend line, the better that trend line is, and the more important holding that trend line is, because the more important that trend line is to the stock and how many times it's bounced means that if it doesn't hold it on that next time, that means it's likely going to head lower. And that's exactly what happened here. We broke below that trend line there, and you can see we went down more than $2 on this stock. So again, congrats if you've been following along, and we're going to move on to the next stock. So the next stock is Chipotle, and Chipotle, you can clearly see we got a little bit of an ugly candle today. I think in the very short term it's going to head lower, but I like it for a bounce against about somewhere around 310 to 312. All right, I like it for a bounce there because we have a couple of things going on here. We have some support from this box break right here. You can clearly see we broke over this box right here. We headed higher. We made a new high over all these highs. All right, and now we're coming back into that level, and that level's right around where that 50-day moving average is as well as where the 61.8 Fibonacci retracement level. You can see that right there. If you draw it from this low to this high, and that gives us that 61.8 Fibonacci retracement level, which is right where the moving averages are, the 50-day and the 20-day, as well as a retest of this trend line. You can see that we broke over, started here, rejection there, rejection here, we finally broke over it. So that'd be a retest of the moving averages, the Fibonacci retracement level, as well as the retrace of this trend line, as well as a touchback of this support. So if we get down to about 310 to 312, I think that Chipotle is going to get a bounce there. As far as through earnings, to me, I don't really like to hold through earnings unless I'm really confident on that direction of the trade. And to be honest, I'm not confident on Chipotle through earnings, just because there's a lot of other factors that I'm not an expert on, and that's how you make money in the market. That's how you make money regardless of your profession, is you got to know your strengths, you got to know your weaknesses, and my strength is not knowing where Chipotle is going to go through earnings, so I'm going to take a step back and let it do its thing without me in that position. But as far as up until earnings, I like Chipotle for a bounce off of these levels. So if you're a short-term trader, especially an options trader, like we do a lot of options trading at the Trading Analyst, then this is going to be a great buying opportunity down here near about 310 to 312. The next one we're going to take a look at is GoPro. And GoPro, again, like we mentioned yesterday, it was an ideal place to cover shorts. Or I don't know if it was yesterday or the day prior on Monday that we did the last video on GoPro. But regardless, we had mentioned that the shorting opportunity was kind of running its term, and we said that because we've been calling for a short ever since GoPro had this false breakout right here. I'll just kind of review really quickly why we like GoPro for a short. We had this resistance there. There's the resistance. Here it is again. We broke over that resistance right here, and it looked like, okay, maybe it's finally time that GoPro is going to break out, but then we ended up breaking back below this resistance point right there, and that ended up confirming that this was a false breakout right there on this day. We said the GoPro was going to head lower, and we headed lower. Our target was right here around the highs of this day right here for that gap fill. We filled that right there on this day. That's why we said, the risk versus reward of being short right here is really not the best. And so obviously we got that bounce there. As far as, trading right here, as far as shorts or longs, to me, anywhere in between here, to me, is kind of the dead zone. I like it for a short against, these resistance point anywhere above 1050. And I like it for a long down here at about 875 all the way down to $8. There's a lot of support below us, and I think that it's a really good buying opportunity down here near about 865. So another reason too, we've got this uptrend line started here, got a bounce there, got a bounce there, several bounces on both of those areas right there, and it's also a support level. You can see we bounced right there, and it was previous resistance right here. Just a lot of sideways trading in this area between 865 and $8, and I highly doubt that we're going to break through those levels anytime soon. So if we get down here, it's a great buying opportunity. Again, it's a great short against 1090. I'm showing how unbiased I am on this stock. I don't care about GoPro, whether it goes to $100 or whether it goes to $0. All I care about is making money on the movement of the stock, and that's the way that you got to be if you want to make money in the market. You can't have any kind of bias on this stock, and that's exactly what we're doing here on GoPro, because we're shorting the highs, we're getting long the lows there with some great risk versus reward. The next one we're going to take a look at is Twitter, and Twitter today really not great price action. We had this resistance there, here. We broke over it right here, made a high right here, held over it here, kind of held it yesterday, but today we ended up closing back below it. And if you recall, I'm going to go back to GoPro, similar setup, not as big of a level here on Twitter that we saw on GoPro, but nonetheless, this is the same setup. We break over this resistance, and then we break back below here, and then as you can see, it headed lower right there. I don't think that the move is going to be as violent with Twitter as GoPro was, because GoPro went from 1090 all the way down to what was it, about 875 or something like that. So that was a pretty big loss. I don't think that Twitter is going to get as violent. I think that we've got a lot of buying opportunities down here. We've got a trend line started right here, got a bounce here, got a bounce here, got a bounce here. And to me, if we do head lower, which I do think that it's likely that we're going to do because of this false move over this level, that if we do head lower, that's a good buying opportunity. And look what else is there. The 50-day moving average, that red line as well, is going to act as a support. And I just took it back here because I think that I can draw this trend line. Not really. Okay. Well, it's still a really good trend line. I just thought that maybe I could extend it to that low, and that would make it an even stronger trend line. But I couldn't. But still, great buying opportunity against that support level. But as far as right now, to me, the risk versus reward does not favor longs. And if we do pop back over about 1830, over the highs of today, 1835, if we break today's highs, then we can get back long. But to me, right here is a good stop out point that I would personally be using if I were trading this stock from a short-term basis. The next one we're going to take a look at is Tesla. And Tesla, like we mentioned here, was likely going to head higher. I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to draw it again later. I'm going to show you exactly what it was. But right now, I just want to have a clean-looking chart. So we mentioned that Tesla was likely going to break over this resistance, and that's because it was holding high and tight against that resistance level right here. And as you can see, it paid off nicely today. I think that it's going to head higher, but if you recall, last time we broke over this resistance point, we did so with a big bullish candle right here, big gap up, big strong candle, big volume as well. But this time, we're just kind of barely peeking our head over it right here. Not the strongest looking candle. Obviously, we're still above that resistance, so it's still bullish. I think it's going to head higher here in the short term. But as I've been pointing out here, we're below this trend line. Started back here. You can see started here, got several bounces there, got a bounce there, right here. Here's a bounce, there's a bounce, and then we broke back below it right here. All right. To me, that's not a great sign, especially after we see this big triangle breakout, which in fact that we called for a long right here, and then we hit our target up here near about 390. And after that target was hit, we obviously headed lower, but that doesn't matter because our target was already hit. So now we're back below this trend line. To me, I wanted this breakout here to kind of hold against this trend line and kind of build up maybe sideways, maybe a little bit higher. But right now, to me, this isn't the healthiest action. And as far as rejection points, I think it's going to get rejected. Short term, I think it's going to head higher. I think it's going to head higher here in the very short term. But once it does head higher into that trend line retest, I think it's going to get rejected. And if you draw a Fibonacci retracement level from the highs here to the lows here, right there, look at where that 61.8, see the 61.8 Fibonacci retracement level? Right here, look at where it lines up with perfect retest of that underside of the trend line. To me, that's a great shorting opportunity, and that level's right around about 368 to 370 is going to be that rejection point that we're looking for. I think it's going to get rejected there and then eventually head lower. It's really got to prove itself at these levels here because we broke these levels, broke that trend line. We obviously bounced here pretty decently, but again, I think it's just going to retest here and then eventually head lower after that. So we'll see what happens with Tesla. The next one is Netflix. And Netflix, like we pointed out the other day, Netflix was likely going to head lower, and we're seeing that today. We saw a nice move lower here on Netflix. I think it's going to head even lower than where it's at right now, just because we had earnings yesterday, and you can see the reaction to it was not great. We had an inverted hammer right here on some heavy volume. You can see the previous day was with some heavy volume as well, with a hanging man candle. Both of these are potentially reversal candles, and obviously we're seeing that confirmation today. Another reason I thought that Netflix was going to head lower is because we had our chance to break out on earnings, and if you can't break out on earnings, then there's nothing really that's going to push you higher until potentially the next earnings that will come up. So that's what you kind of want to look for. The reaction to the earnings, was it positive? Was it not positive? And obviously we got basically a neutral reaction to earnings because, you know, it wasn't some huge red day, but it did so with heavy volume, with a reversal candle near these highs, and I do think that will continue to the downside. We do have a lot of support below us though, so just be aware of that. We've got support down here at about 189, 190 based off of this previous resistance there, right there, broke over right here, and that has remained untested. So if we head into this level, we could get some kind of a bounce, and you definitely want to be aware of that moving forward. The next one we're going to take a look at is IBM. And IBM, if you've been following along in these videos, we liked IBM for higher prices as long as we stayed above about 146, and we did that. So here's this trend line that we had drawn. You can see we got a bounce there, got a bounce here, and here we are. Look at where we bounced from just before earnings. We dojied right here at this trend line and at this previous resistance. Here's that resistance there, there, there. Here's that resistance, trading 4 days straight against it, and then we broke over it here, so it turned into support. We bounced huge off of this level, and really nice move, as you can see, in response to that trend line there, and we headed higher. So congrats, you guys, if you followed along with these videos. That's why it's really helpful to watch these videos, and even more helpful to join the membership, because then you're going to get access to the profitable trade alerts that our current members are getting and loving on a daily and weekly basis. It's a great opportunity for you, and we'd love to help you start making winning trades in the market.